it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Here I'm Alan Cutler. There is so much going on. It is unbelievable. There's enough for about 3 different shows. I'm not kidding. Coming up at 12:15, National Player of the Year, Cassie O'Brien. Wow, as Kentucky gets ready for Wisconsin, a place where the great Craig Skinner was an assistant coach 1,000 years ago. Coming up at 12:30, the one, the only Travis Ford, always great. Coming up at 1 o'clock, my arch nemesis, another great point guard, Sean Woods. Coming up at 1:30, longtime veteran, outstanding columnist, Mark Story. I don't know if we're going to get to all this, but we have stuff from Stein and Bateman and a cast of thousands, literally. So let's start with the obvious. You know, I didn't put this out on Twitter, but I should have. If Mitch Barnhart is going to talk to anyone, I would think it'd be about 500 to 1 that he would talk to Matt Jones, 1,000 to 1 he would talk to me, and probably even money John Hale. He talked to John Hale. We're going to talk about it in Hale's piece in the Lexington Herald-Leader. And the reason why I give Matt 500 to 1 and me 1,000 to 1, because he's got a ton of stations, so it's a bigger reach. Other than that, if we both had one station, I would say we probably would have the same odds. It's all good. It's all good. And by the way, my buddy Ryan Lemon was in a car accident. We texted and he's okay. I worry about him and his driving, but bless you, dude. Bless you. And hopefully all of us from the old 18 crew will get together before Christmas. Okay. We're going to start with the Herald Leader and John Hale. The monologue will be shorter because honored and pleased that Cassie O'Brien will be joining us in just a couple of minutes. And I've talked about this at length. I want to do a couple of things. One, and I don't understand this, but I believe Mitch, okay? I don't understand, and Jimmy, if you can figure this out, that when you do deals with JMI, they are taking care of players, how the people selling do not take a commission away from the athlete. I'm shocked. I don't understand it. There's obviously some things about JMI I really don't understand, and I get that, but I think that's one spectacular. Here's the other thing, and I've talked about this, and I've reconfirmed it again with Deep Throats. Okay, this is important. You don't have to, if you're an athlete, sign with JMI. You do not have to. If you want to do your own deal, you can. If you want to do your own deal and go with JMI, you can. That's what I understand, and that's important. I think it's very important. And as I've already mentioned on another show, the contracts have changed. And instead of saying, oh, JMI was wrong and this, and that, I'm not shilling for him, but this is common sense business. Okay? You evolve, you change, you grow. And the way I understand it, agents dealing with Kentucky and JMI have convinced them to write the contracts differently. And by the way, again, as I said the other day, it's not a negative comment. Things change. You better adjust in business, radio, TV, newspapers, JMI, UK. It doesn't matter. You got to adjust. If you don't adjust, you become a dinosaur. It's pretty simple. The word Mitch used, you have to adapt and change, as that's what he told the Herald Leader. Now, I do find it interesting, and this has been mentioned, and I think this is powerful. JMI has over 200 different companies that if you're an athlete, you can go to. Okay? But if you go on your own with a deal, you can't use their facilities, which they claim to have all kinds of really neat stuff for social media and stuff like that for athletes, and I got no problem with that. It's their stuff. Why should they give it away? Now, Mitch Barnhart says his deal with JMI is one of the 5 best deals. Okay? And he said something that I had harped on a long time ago. And it was an obvious guess right away from what I was reading. So you got to go through this college sports commission to get deals approved and stuff like that. And they don't have enough people. And so initially there was some talk way back when this started about you would send, it doesn't matter if it's Kentucky, Wisconsin, doesn't make a difference. You would send a deal and you wouldn't get a response quick enough. You better get a response quickly. And so they have some issues that they're working through. They do. One of the things that Mitch said, I couldn't disagree with more. He said that everybody loved our rosters July 1st. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Jimmy, did you ever hear me say that I loved the Kentucky football roster one time? Just once?
I don't think so. The offensive line before the season, but just as a roster, I don't remember if that was ever brought up.
Yeah, I mean, I said I really liked the additions to the offensive line. Really, really liked it. And I said that. And I can't imagine you and Matthew on your show said you loved the UK football. It was not even a thought. So he said that. I'm going, really? Who the hell is he talking about? I'm sorry, Mitch, but who are you talking about? And I liked UK's basketball roster. I have no problem with that, and I liked it a lot. I have no problem with that. I don't think I ever said I loved it. And I said I liked it a number of times. So it is what it is. And I do like one of the points Mitch made. You know, you lose a couple games and everybody says the roster is this, that, and you know what? And that's fans. And I get that. And it's okay. To the retirement thing. And I'll laugh to this. And Matt Jones, you're normally smarter than this. Really. Matt, I want you to think for a second. And Jimmy, if you think I'm wrong, I want you to chop in. And I'm not chomping on Matt like I wasn't chomping on Adam Luckett yesterday when I have different information that he has about Cutter Bowley. I'm not. This is information. This is not ripping KSR. They do a great job. They do. But they ain't perfect. They're just not perfect. John Hale asked an obvious question. Mitch, how much longer are you going to be there? That's an obvious question. Why the hell would Mitch Barnhart break that story with John Hale and the Lexington Herald Leader? And if you think that's a shot against the Herald Leader, you got rocks in your head. You got rocks in your head. There's no way. I wouldn't expect Mitch Barnhart to break that story if he ever talked to me, which he's not going to do. Mitch Barnhart should do when he decides to retire on his own timeline. The heck with the Herald Leader, the heck with Alan Cutler, the heck with KSR. Now, if he was on my show and you really wanted to break it, that's great. And so Matt was ripping on him today. You know, we don't know anymore. And why would you expect to know more? Look, when I decided to retire, when asked by a few people about my future, and by the way, and I was thinking about this, I was offered a new 3-year contract, and I was putting it off, and I really did have the initial goal to work 3 more years and then push back collecting Social Security. I'm probably giving you too much personal information, but that's what I had initially decided. And then decided one Friday night, I'm not going to go through the whole story. We don't have time. It's not important, that I was done. At a certain moment, I said I was done. And then I sat down. Didn't even talk to Judy for, I think, a couple of weeks because I wanted to make sure that I wanted to stick to it, because you can't start saying I'm retiring and change your mind. Never wavered. That's okay. And some people in the station, and Rob Cook, the photographer, is one of them, say, you know, what are you going to do and that kind of stuff. And I had told him that at the time that was the truth, that I, you know, think I would continue working. And When I changed my mind, I wasn't going to go back to Rob and tell him. And a couple of people had said to me, hey, when are you going to retire? And I said, you know, I don't really have any plans right now. So I lied. Okay? I lied. Matter of fact, one of them asked me before I told Judy, really, I'm going to tell somebody I work with that I'm going to retire before I tell my wife. Really? Really? Sometimes we're all put in compromised situations. Okay, so why the hell should Mitch break that story from the Lexington Herald Leader? Now, for John Hale, ask the right question. He asked the right question. I mean, I would ask the question. He asked the question. John did a good job. The only thing, and I read this thing twice, and I remember the last time I read something twice, but I still don't have a feel if there's enough money for UK athletes. And Mitch says there is no problem. I was expecting some sort of answer with that. I really was. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Interesting. And this is good for the Herald Leader. We'll get a lot of hits on there today. And I wonder, and I didn't ask John, And I should have asked him, I wonder if there's like a part 2 and a part 3 and that kind of stuff. Because they've done that kind of thing before. And he said he sat down and talked to him for 30 minutes. And transcribing that probably was not a lot of fun. Took hours and hours and hours and hours. And Mitch is right. It's a 15-year extension. It's a 15-year extension. But the bottom line is the bottom line, and I don't know why. And just to blame JMI for this is ludicrous, by the way. It's just ludicrous. Pope hasn't signed for the 2026. Could it be there's an issue with JMI? Might be. Is it? Have no clue. To just say it's JMI, I think is obnoxious, ludicrous, disrespectful, and how about wrong? It's just wrong. It's wrong. Is it Pope? I don't know. I don't know. Can he not close? I don't know. These recruiting experts are generally really, really good. Do they ever make mistakes? Sure. Often, not really with the big recruits. And for some reason, when it was deemed a number of players where Kentucky was in the lead, they're not in the lead or they're going someplace else. What happened? I don't know. But I do know this. Right now, for 2026, Pope is striking out. He's striking out. Does he need a general manager? Does he need somebody to negotiate? Will they get a general manager when he finds what he feels is the right person? And he's got to be comfortable. This is all on him. All I know is the proof is in the pudding. They haven't signed anybody for 2026. This is Kentucky. You would expect them to have some, and it sucks. But I will say this. If in the transfer portal they get everything that they think they need, then it's fine. It really is. It really is. But it is fair and honest to question why in the world they don't have somebody for 2026. And at this point, to what? At this point, to point a finger just at JMI, it's wrong. It's just wrong. We got to go to a break in about 1 minute. I just want to say this quickly. Joe Sloan did a press conference today, the new offensive coordinator, and he was effusive in his praise for Cutler Bowley. He recruited him. He loves working with him. This is just a paraphrase. But I stand by what I said yesterday. I'm not saying Cutler won't be the man. I am not saying that. I hope he is going to be the man. I am saying that. But to say what KSR said with Adam Luckett yesterday, that it's his team, is just, my information says it's just not true. I hope Cutler becomes the man. I hope that's with his team, and I stand by what I said yesterday. Cutler has to do what's best for Cutler. And if he ends up leaving because it's best for him, I support him. And if Stein ends up deciding he wants to bring another quarterback, he's the coach. You can't say you love the coach and then tell him what he should do. Really, you can't. So Stein has to do what's best for Stein. Cutler has to do what's best for Cutler. Cutler's been working with Sloan. That makes a lot of sense. I think the quarterback coaching here between Stein and Sloan, I think it's big time. I think it's elite. I think it would help Cutler out tremendously and UK tremendously. I think Cutler can become a big star at Kentucky. Will he? I have no idea. All I know is the deal's not signed. And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the portal. And I think there are some quarterbacks if Kentucky could get. My feeling is that they would take over Cutler. Cutler is a great young quarterback who has to get a lot better. When I say that, because he just played 1 year. And I do believe he would get a lot better. Okay, if Cassie's in the horn, John, let's do this. Jimmy, why don't you put Cassie in and let's go right to her. So give me a thumbs up when she's in. And we will take a break before Travis Ford at 12:30 as Jimmy's putting her in. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be glued to the tube, absolutely, watching the Final Four. Cassie, couple things. One, Mazel Tov, congratulations. Thank you for joining us. You're in the Final Four, and you're the national player, All-American. Oh, my gosh. The obvious question, your wildest dreams last July, if somebody said you're going to be the National Freshman of the Year, what would you have said?
I would have not believed them for sure. I mean, this has just been such a surreal year and a dream come true. But walking in here, you would never think that would happen.
Did you end up playing more than you thought? Did you know you'd play this much? Did you think the competition would be tougher? The jump, the obvious thing from high school to this, such a big time program. It ain't little. My bad grammar. I'm really bad on grammar, Cassie. Sorry about that. And so you have to have some trepidation, unless you're as cocky as I am with my big mouth.
Yeah, no, walking in here, I knew it was going to be a challenge every single day. And, nothing is ever guaranteed. So coming in here, I really just wanted to work hard. And obviously the end goal was to play. And that's what I wanted to do. And so I just worked really hard each day and relied on my teammates. And they've been there for me every single day in the gym. And it's just been a blessing for sure.
Plus, you're a second team All-American. Brooklyn DeLay and Eva Hudson are first team All-American. And Molly is a third team All-American. So you have 4. And according to Chris Scholl's notes, that's tied with Nebraska for the most in the country, one shy of the school record of 5 in 2021. And for DeLay, second time for Hudson. Wow. She did it 2023 and 2024 at Purdue and then came here, which is amazing in itself. To the obvious, the word is FUN. Can you describe what it's like with the FUN that you all are putting in as you get ready to play in the Final Four against Wisconsin in for the 7th time tomorrow night at 9 p.m.?
Yeah, no, we're super excited. And I think every day with this team, we just enjoy every moment together. And something we've been talking about, which kind of goes along with the fun, but it's just playing with joy. And so we just want to go out there each game, play with our hearts and have so much fun because, not everyone gets this experience and we just take it all in and, just really just have a lot of fun while doing it.
Cassie, I really use the word joy. You're playing with joy. Did you come to Lexington, Kentucky with that? Did you embrace it as a group? I mean, how long have you had the word joy when it comes to being the great athlete that you are?
It's always kind of been something that has stuck with me, but just recently we meet like with a sports psych and he kind of brought this word up to us right before we played the Creighton game. And so it's something that all of our team kind of embraces. And you might even see it. We start like drawing little smiley faces on our hands and just as a little reminder of, as much as we love this sport to also just, have so much joy and fun while doing it.
You're smiling as you're saying that. So a sports psychologist can help you and a great team tremendously, even though you're already really special.
Oh, yeah. He has such great insight and just allows us to think about the game and it takes a lot of pressure off as well whenever he just brings up all these different things that we can, use like different tools and stuff that we can use while we go into these matches.
Give me an example of a tool, please.
So you might have, or you probably didn't see, but whenever we were playing in the Texas game, we were obviously down 2 sets in the SEC tournament. And something that he told us was just to take a breath. So we all came in after that second loss in that set and we all just grabbed hands and we just took a big breath and closed our eyes and just helped us stay relaxed. And so that's something that we have that we can do whenever we need it.
I did see, by the way, you all have made me a volleyball fan to was before, and shame on me, but I'm just being honest about that. With a sports psychologist, can it help you in your everyday life, whether it's school, friends, parents, brothers, sisters? Not that a brother and sister would ever not get along. I'm not suggesting anything with you. I'm just saying in general.
No, for sure. He has so much insight on so many different things. And if we ever do need anything or are struggling, we can always go to him and talk to him about it. And he's there for us. And so I think it's just super cool to have someone like that in our program that we're able to talk to and, get that help if we need it.
Okay, if I understand you correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, your sports psychologist is on the bench?
No.
Okay.
No, he doesn't travel with us. He is here with us in the tournament, but he doesn't travel with us.
Okay, will he be on the bench? Because when you said take a break at Texas, that's why I was trying to think of, that was something he mentioned to you, somebody picked up on, then you all did it collectively.
Yes.
Okay. I just, I'm because can I see the day where a sports psychologist travels with a team? Yes. Can I see the sports psychologist, is even encompassed more in matches? I can, and I can see that day happening. And I just wanted to make sure that was understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Describe the word. I asked Lizzie about this, and her definition was just unbelievably good. It was so mature. It was off the charts, and I said it was a lesson for people not only in sports but in life. Describe the word pressure.
Pressure. Me personally, and I feel like as a team, we use it as a pressure as a privilege. And so, we walk in every day and you're going to have nerves. There's always going to be expectations and standards that we hold ourselves to and other people hold ourselves to. But, without that, then you wouldn't really have anything kind of driving you or those goals set for you. So, any opportunity that we get to just go out and play our game, and there's going to be pressure that comes with it, but just using that as a privilege and knowing that it's such a great opportunity that we get, and that we get to play this sport and be with these people.
Gonna be nervous, and by the way, nervous might not be bad. It's just energy.
Yeah, I mean, there's also there's nerves that go with it, but I mean, I feel like we all just kind of lean on each other when those times get tough, and we're always there to pick each other up. So that kind of helps calm those nerves.
One of the things that Skinner said, that the explosion of volleyball, and I really like how he said it's going to be totally different in 5 years, that this is just booming like crazy, and you're part of this boom. All of you have a tremendous amount of pride, as you can see and feel at matches. The more energy, more people show up, that kind of stuff. And 5 years from now, I would like to think when you all have your reunions and stuff like that, you say, we were part of that change. Yes.
Yes. No, for sure. I think it's super cool because even looking 5 years before here, like there's been such a change. And so, each day the sport is just growing, and you can tell, and so many more gyms are selling out their arenas, and more people are becoming to know what volleyball is and want to, watch it and be a part of it. And so I think it's just super cool to see this sport continuing to grow each and every day.
I'm going to imagine in high school, you weren't signing a lot of autographs and those kinds of things. It's a different world now. And when you see that there are, in particular, young ladies and just people in general look up to you and be like you, and Craig Skinner in his press conference yesterday before you guys flew to before, said you're getting notes from elementary schools and stuff like that. I mean, that's got to be off the charts, knowing that people look at you that way, and it's a responsibility. And I can tell just from talking to you now briefly, you probably take it seriously with joy as well. Yes,
for sure. Because I really take this seriously because, I remember when I was a little kid in those shoes, wanting to go to matches and get autographs from the girls playing on the court. And so, being here now, it kind of feels like a full circle moment. And so I know how much those autographs or those little kids watching really do look up to us. And it's super cool just to be an influence and be able to, really just be there for them and help hopefully grow them up in playing this sport too.
Cassie O'Brien, congratulations, National Freshman Player of the Year, second team All-American, getting ready to play Wisconsin tomorrow night at 9:00. You have a wonderful smile. Wish you all nothing but the best, and your answers are things you don't have to play sports to listen to what you were to understand how that can help you in everyday life. Wish you all the best. I know you got a million things going on. Thank you for carving out a couple minutes with us. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Jimmy, is she great or what? I mean, is she great?
It's awesome.
I like
as a freshman too.
The sports psychologist, she had a little bit of this joy of playing. I'm paraphrasing, and now with the sports psychologist and the way they explain it, that now they're all playing with so much more joy. And in that moment against Texas, where they took a deep breath and got control of themselves, and I do all these breathing exercises daily, which has helped me tremendously. Wish I did it when I was your age, Jimmy, but I didn't. I think it's just absolutely wonderful. Wisconsin, Kentucky, 9 p.m., Final Four tomorrow. Unbelievable. Tell you what, it's unbelievable. The holiday season, what's going on with the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or every new Subaru leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and make a difference during the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com. Don't forget, the perfect place to get your Cadillac, the perfect place to get your Subaru, the perfect place to get your Volvo. We've had now 3 cars from Quantrell, and we love the VC60, the Volvo hybrid. It's a beautiful car, and the hybrid is saving us money, and on top of it is so smooth. It's crazy. Travis Ford, coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
I'm looking at these twinkle lots, 250 strands of lots, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lots.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet. But here at Clark's Pub and Shop, we are. We have 5-hour energy shots, buy 2, get 1 free, and Mike and Ike or Hot Tamales theater box candy, 2 for $2.
Maybe I should wrap up my lots so I can get over to Clark's Pub and Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carl. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
By one of the great guards in the history of Kentucky, going from one All-American, Cassie O'Brien, National Player of the Year in volleyball for freshmen, and a second-team All-American. And what a lovely young lady, and her attitude about pressure and playing with joy. It was just wonderful. I mean, wonderful. We've talked to, in the last year, 3 UK volleyball players. And Travis, if they could have played basketball good enough for you, you'd have loved them as people. Besides that, really, really talented. By the way, this is a stupid question just out of my head. Nothing will surprise. I'm surprising myself. I'd ask you to promise not to laugh at me. But
I'm already laughing.
I got to do this. I'm sweating. I've never sweated around you. I don't sweat asking questions. I'm starting to sweat because you're going to shoot me down 50 years from now when you and I are rocking chairs.
We're close. We're close.
I'm a lot closer to you, pal. Do you ever see the day where women will play NBA basketball?
No, I don't think so. I say that based on how the WNBA is really, taken off and things like that. But I no, I don't see that happening where they play in the NBA.
To me, you know what it's like? I have no idea how the hell I'm going on this tangent. um, I know you know something about horse racing. I lived the Derby from the 80s on, covering the Derby every year. I was very fortunate getting to know all the great trainers who were great to me, and I ended up loving horse racing and the stories and stuff like that.
Same here.
But to me, this is almost like a filly running in the Derby, where the boys will bounce you around and physically tough. And there have been a few fillies who had their careers set back because of the physicality, which trainers sometimes don't like to admit, but you can get bounced around pretty bad, and you got a guy with a girl and that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to be silly, but there's some things there. But and a very few of the special fillies have raced against the guys and have done great. I mean, Winning Colors. I was there for the Derby. Now, if Winning Colors was in the back and had to go through 16 other horses with the bouncing around, even Lucas would say she wouldn't have had a shot.
Yeah.
But went to the front, handle it, whatever. So the only reason I'm saying this is, silly as it sounds, when I first got into horse racing, how could a filly go against, one of the boys? Rare. Because women are getting stronger and stronger. I don't, because we were just talking to this young lady. I'm going, I don't know if you've watched the volleyball team. It's unbelievable how athletic they are and what they can do. Okay, so you think I'm nuts, and I'm good.
No, it's extremely impressive, and the run that UK volleyball is on right now is just absolutely incredible. It's exciting, but it's as you said, tremendous young ladies. I mean, how they're representing the university and the level of athleticism, level of athletes that they are, and the training, and to be able to sustain being at the top the way they have, that's hard. That's not easy. That's not easy. So far they seem like they've answered everything that's been thrown at them. So it's been from afar. It's been fun, really, really following the volleyball team. It's been exciting.
This is a very sexist remark, so you can shoot me down. Then we'll get into Kentucky. I don't know why I'm doing this to you, Trav. You realize none of this was pre-thought, right?
Yeah.
I've
enjoyed being on the show. It's been fun.
The way these, and everyone that has been on, I wanted to ask, but they were so good about their people and personalities and stuff like they didn't get to it. I don't understand how these young women can dive on the floor as much as they can and be able to move the next day, or dive on the floor and get up like it's nothing and keep on doing it again. I just,
they're a lot younger than you and I are, Alan. They're a whole lot.
Well, there's 2 points. One, you were athletic and I wasn't. So let's take that into account from 60 years ago. But the other thing, you watch them. Could you have dove on the floor that many times? I mean, you dove for the floor when you had to. You didn't shy away from that.
No, it's a regular routine for volleyball players. It's, whether it be diving on the floor or how high they get up when they spike the ball, and the serves, how they serve is just amazing to me. It's the talent to me, because it looks very, very difficult how they serve and all. It's just and the strategy behind it is really interesting. It's a lot of fun to watch.
I hope this is not the last time you come on the show for the.
You're getting me way out of. I don't know a lot about volleyball. You're getting me way out of my comfort zone. So.
No, but as a coach and as an athlete, you've watched all things and the properties.
Absolutely, 100%.
I don't care what the hell sport it is. There's certain properties you can make a comment on.
100%. I don't care. And there's a tremendous amount of respect that you watch these ladies and what they've done and what they've accomplished, and being able to sustain it is just exciting to watch and understand how hard that is, how really difficult it is to continue to rise to the occasion.
Best thing I can say to you today, let's talk men's basketball.
Oh, let's do that. That's probably a little more in my lane.
Yeah, but you handled other lanes really well. If I really was worried about it, I wouldn't have done.
No, I enjoy talking about it. Absolutely.
All with a lot of kidding around too. So, Mashburn called them soft cats, and now they're playing like tough cats, and decided that they're going to have to play 2 games in a row, tough cats. Here's my thought, and I am going to shut the mic off because this is your area, not mine now. Not that anything is ever my area. But if they lose to Patino, let's say 69-65, and it's obvious to everybody, they're playing tough and they're hustling and all that kind of stuff, but they lose, I just want to see effort and toughness and then let the chips fall where they may. So I don't know if what we saw the other day with a lot of guys coming back and all that kind of stuff, and I think Mo Diabate is the most important player on the team because he changed everything. But I don't know if this is an aberration, which I do not think, or this is the start of a new trend. What you saw against Indiana, what is your take and feel? Now in your lane, Mr. Trevor.
Yeah, no, I first thing, you do make a great point. I think they win the Indiana game by just sure sense of urgency, toughness, gritty, hard playing, and it was led by a young man that hasn't been playing because of injury, as you mentioned, Mo Diabate. And what happens when you have a player like Mo Diabate, and I coached a player that one of his greatest strengths is similar to Mo Diabate's strength, Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart led by how hard he played, his physicality, his understanding of the game, creating more possessions from offensive rebounding to loose balls. And Diabate does that, but when Diabate does that, it becomes contagious to everybody else. So not only is Diabate doing it, but he's holding everybody else on the team to a standard, hey, you got to raise your level to where how hard I'm playing. And I think they did. And I think, I think that's, to me, part of Diabate's role. And that's why I think he could be he's a great leader on this team, maybe by example. I don't know how much he talks or loud he is, but by example, he leads and says, all right, I'm going to get offensive rebounds. I'm going to dive for loose balls. I'm going to do this and that. I need everybody to come with me. And I thought against Indiana, everybody came with me. I love how they won the game. It was all by the effort stats. You look at it, they got to the free throw line. That was ultra important because they weren't making a lot of threes. So if that's not the case, you got to get to the free throw line. You got to get second shots. They did those things, and that was enough offense to go with some really, really good defense. I said it on here with you, Alan. I think they can go a long way with their defense. I think their defense can take them a long way.
It's interesting. They played Saturday like a Cal team.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
Well, Cal used to like to say, if they shot like 38% and they didn't shoot really well generally, and they grinded it and toughed it out.
And from that standpoint, yeah.
What I meant,
it was a fun, and I was there watching. It was fun to sit there and watch them enjoy working hard. They were playing together. I thought Mark just did a great job of, pushing the right button, especially in the second half, playing great rotations. Again, getting Diabate and Lowe back is obviously a difference maker, and that's true for any team in America when you're without your 2 best players. And they got in and they responded and they did what needed to be done for Kentucky to be successful.
All SEC, twice MVP of the SEC tournament, all academic. Once the UK Student Athlete of the Year. I just looked this up. I forgot what the UK Student Athlete of the Year, the stuff I remembered. Team co-MVP. Gosh, if I keep on going with all your awards here, it's time to say goodbye. I mean, here's what I can't tell, and I can't imagine you can either, but I'm just throwing it out there. Lowe, he's got to be still a shadow of himself. I give him credit for playing as much as he did and as hard as he did the other day because he hasn't been playing and you can't be in shape. I don't know if he just gutted it out. I mean, but for him to play 24 minutes at that level, then dive on the floor when I was going like, no, don't do it. But he said he had to do it to show his guys that he was there. I can't tell. I don't know. Is he more than 75% of who he is? And maybe even not, which if it's true, and that's my guess, It's pretty blank good for being whatever percentages, but he's not all the way back. He's not even close.
No, and probably won't get, as far as health wise, probably won't get back to there health wise. But his ability to play, he can probably get back there. So to the level that he's capable of playing. You know, as a coach, I dealt with a lot of shoulder injuries. It happens quite a bit, quite a bit. And from my experience with shoulders, his has kind of gone along this line: is you hurt it, you kind of come back a little bit too soon, maybe, then you got to sit out a longer period of time, and then you can keep playing, and it's never obviously going to heal, but you can play with shoulder. You just, and it might get knocked out again. It could get knocked out again, but I think he'll get back, and we saw signs of it. He'll get back to the way he's capable of playing. He will never, with the shoulder injury he has, he'll never be healthy. That's not going to heal, but he'll be able to figure out how to deal with that and get back, as we saw against Indiana, playing the way he's capable of playing. And yeah, I think he's, one of the most valuable players on this team for what he can do for Kentucky.
I'm sure with the decades and decades and decades that you coach, you had players that this is not like the NBA. You can put somebody in a waiver wire and whatever, and and I'm not saying that you're stuck with a kid, because I don't. There's no hidden meaning with that, but when you recruit a kid that there's certain properties they have, they're not doing it, and you don't bury a kid, and you find different ways to have patience. And the person I'm talking about is Cam Williams. This kid shot 41% at Tulane. He's only 21% now, but he made a block the other day that I'm going, I don't know how many basketball players in America. He was like flying through the air, and not only just high, but such a quick jumper. And I'm going, and Williams even made a comment weeks ago. Well, if I have to play great defense to get on the court because I'm not shooting well, I'll do it and I'll get to shoot. But the kid's shooting 21%. And I wonder, I got one more and I will shut up, Trav. I wonder, because of the greatness of Kentucky, there's a good and bad. The good is the greatness of Kentucky. But this was true last year when a lot of guys said it. It's like, I got to prove to myself, not only the public, but myself, that I'm worthy of being a Kentucky player. And I've wondered, this kid probably will end up being a hell of a player. But I've wondered if some of these kids, and I think it's normal, so I'm not being negative, I promise you. I wonder if some of these kids are saying, okay, Kentucky, wow, but am I a Kentucky player until you get more comfortable? Is that nuts, or tell me your theory?
No, I don't think that's nuts at all. And I spoke to the team, a couple months ago, and I spoke a little bit on that about what it means to play for Kentucky and what it meant to me, but also the challenges that go with playing Kentucky. Is true of anything in life. There's pluses and minuses, and one of the tough parts about playing at Kentucky is there is a lot of pressure that goes along with it. You mentioned Cal earlier. Calipari said it a lot. It's not for everybody now. Playing at Kentucky is not for everybody. You've got to be tough mentally as well as being a great basketball player. We've seen a lot of great talent, but you better be tough mentally to be able to play at Kentucky in the SEC and go down the line. Cam Williams, I believe, is going to be super. And you hit on it. I think it's an incredible point you made that when you're a great shooter and the ball's not going in, you better find some other ways to help your team. Whatever that may be, you better find some other way to help your team be successful, whether it's on the defensive end, whether it's rebounding, whatever it may be. And in the long term, it's going to help him as an overall player, because now he is, where he was considered just a shooter. Now we're seeing he can defend, he can block some shots. He's got great length for a defender. And I promise you, he's going to go on a roll and make shots. When it starts, at some point, his form looks great. He's proven it in the past. Why he's not made shots to this point really doesn't matter. But he will, at some point, he's going to get on a roll and become a guy that you look back and say, wow, Cam Williams helped us win this game, that game, because he made 3 or 4 threes. Because I love guys that are, he's 6'7", 6'8", length, can get his shot off. It looks great. Once he continues to get more comfortable playing at Kentucky, playing and being a part of this team, I think the sky's the limit for him.
This is, Marino and Jasper Johnson have pressure being Kentucky boys. There's no question about it. But the pressure on you was greater because people knew who you were in junior high, right? And you were a star in high school. And with your dad and you always wanted to play here. And you left and came back. And it's not like Marino and Jasper don't have eyes on him, because they do as local kids. There's no question they do. But you had more on you. You really did. And yet you handled it. How the heck did you handle the pressure so well?
Well, I think you handle pressure with preparation. You know me, when everybody was out on a Friday or Saturday night, I was in the gym. I knew, and I think you handle pressure too by, understanding your weaknesses. I knew I was smaller than everybody else. I knew, hey, if I'm going to succeed at this level and help Kentucky be successful, I'm going to have to be an overachiever, and I'm going to have to be elite in certain areas, because I'm already at probably a little disadvantage with size and everything. So I tried to make up for that with living in the gym. When I went to the free throw line, I wasn't going to miss. If you left me open from three, I didn't have a choice but to make. I couldn't play. If I didn't make it, I wasn't going to play. I had to make everybody around me better. I needed to make sure guys got the ball where they got it. So I tried to make up for it in all these other areas. And to me, that's how you handle pressure, is through preparation. Coach Pitino used to talk a lot about it. You've probably heard it. There's two types of pressure in life. There's good pressure and bad pressure. Bad pressure is you're going into something and you're not prepared, and you're feeling the pressure because you're not ready to succeed, and you haven't done all the things you needed to do. Good pressure is more like butterflies. You've put the time in, you're ready to go. There's nothing wrong with having a few butterflies, a little nervous in your belly a little bit, but that's good pressure. And to me, that's how you handle it. And I agree with you. I think it's true for any Kentucky kid that plays at Kentucky, that's from Kentucky, grown up in the state, because you fully 100% grasp what you're getting into. And the pressure. If you haven't followed Kentucky and you're maybe a Cam Williams, you learn it once you get here. You don't know it outside of it. Kentucky's the greatest basketball program in America. You know that, but you don't quite understand, how, what a big deal it is in the state, and how important it is to people. Growing up in Kentucky, you fully grasp that. You know what you're getting into, and there is a lot of pressure to that. There is. I enjoyed that. I did that in coaching. I enjoyed pressure. I think I perform my best when when there's pressure. But like I said, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's you got to be laser focused, and and be able to make sure you drown out all the noise a lot of times.
This might be another terrible thing to ask. I don't think I've ever asked you, so hopefully this is not another reason you never come back on the show. Did you ever think if you were 6'4", you'd have played in the NBA forever? It would have been.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a pretty good bet. Yeah. I'd like to see my chances. I'll put it that way. I'd like to see my chances.
But this way, you were 6'4", and this is a horse race. I'd go across the board.
Yeah. I'd like to see my chances. I would like to give that a try.
If your dad's listening, I'm not trying to get esoteric. You go, well, what question is that to ask, right? Wouldn't your dad be saying that?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to say they can't. I'm not going to say they can. I'll just say I have no idea. I'm surprised they're shooting this bad as a team. I really am. I didn't think this would be the greatest Kentucky shooting team of all time, but I thought they would be much better than they are. I was shocked, 3 for 15 the other day. But they should be good enough, and I think Lowe's part of it. If he can play more, then guys are going to get easier threes, and that'll take care of itself. Now, Pope is saying, because he's always so positive, that, hey, this can still be a special shooting team. I don't know about that. And you tell me if you think, but what you think. But I think they can be good enough that by the end of the season, I don't think shooting is going to be the reason they don't do what they want to do. And when you can win and have only 4 turnovers, which is crazy, and shoot 3 for 15, and you can win that way, it's kind of like you look at these numbers. Who the hell wins a game like this? I mean, it's crazy. So
I think that's part of it. From a coaching standpoint, sometimes you got to figure out what's the best way for my team to win. What's that look like? And in today's era of the portal, where you're putting together a new team every year, it's that way with coaches more and more. And when you're not making shots, Kentucky did exactly what they needed to do to beat Indiana. When you're not making shots, you've got to find these extra possessions on the offensive glass. You got to get to the free throw line. You've got to take care of the ball because you need as many opportunities to shoot it as you can. So maybe they're, from that standpoint, they're kind of figuring out, this is the best way for our team to be successful. With that said, I don't think there's any question they're going to stay at these numbers 3-point wise. And yes, Jalen Lowe's a big part of that because he's the one guy that can get other guys open threes. But you've got guys out there that can make threes, that are good 3-point shooters. They just might need some, they need some help getting open by their man helping off a Jalen Lowe drive or whatever it may be. But I think the 3-point percentage is going to go up. I do believe that. But they're figuring. I saw against Indiana again. They're figuring out ways that this team, as it's built, can be successful. And I love it. I love watching the strategy behind it and looking at it. And I just really enjoyed the Indiana game. I just like how they played. I like how they won the game because it wasn't a great shooting night, but they figured out a way to win against a good team.
I thought they did a really good job on Wilkerson. I thought they scattered him well. I thought the defense was good. I thought since he almost came to Kentucky, and some people think at the last moment he kind of flipped for a little more money. That's the word out there. I can't swear if it's true or not. But I think the kid felt some extra pressure, which is normal, by the way, because, he came here to place he almost played. Now you're in Rupp Arena. I wonder if he thought he was going to get booed, not booed, all that kind of stuff. And I think Kentucky did a good job of taking him out. But I think he did a little job, as it can to any athlete. I'm not being negative.
Yeah.
To make a fortune in the NBA. But I thought he took himself out a little bit. And I wonder if it's because he's coming to a place where people thought he was coming and you feel extra pressure. And it's human nature. Is that a nutty theory?
No, that's exactly right. There's no question. It's human nature to, he's coming back into a place he almost went. And, there was a lot of talk about it going into the game throughout the media. I didn't really know much about it until I started reading about it. I'd forgotten that Kentucky even recruited him, or maybe didn't even know they did. I didn't follow it that much. But when it's being talked about as much as it was being talked about going into the game, it's human nature for a young man who's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old to say, hey, I got to prove myself. I got to show them what they're missing. But I think Kentucky did a great job on him. And I think Kentucky did a great job on DeVries, which is a big, big part of the victory. When you can hold, and I've coached against DeVries twice since when he played at Drake. And that's a young man that, you can have a scouting report for him, but he can still score it. And we did a great job of pressuring him and making him take tough threes. And that was a big, big part of it.
Yeah, I don't know if DeVries is an NBA player, but he's going to play pro ball somewhere in the world for a long.
Right. Yes, he understands how to play.
He was 1 for 9, and I kept on watching him going, he's a really smart player. And he could roll. No, he shot 1 for 9.
Got a great pace to his game. Like you said, I think he'll probably end up playing in the NBA, to be honest with you. There was a young man that similar to him. There's been several that was at Northern Iowa about 3 or 4 years ago. I think Green was his last name. Everybody said, "Oh, he's not going to play." Now he's one of the best players in the NBA. When you have the ability to shoot the way DeVries can shoot, and he's big, and he is he's legit 6'5", 6'6". He may not be athletic, but he's well built. And in the NBA, he didn't shoot it well against Kentucky, but he can really, really shoot it, and he understands how to play. I think he'll play in the NBA.
Interesting, because funny you mentioned Green. He just got a contract.
Well, yeah.
Bouncing around and bouncing around. So, it's interesting. And there is a shot for shooters. I just wonder how.
Shooters with size. With size. If you got some size that could shoot it, you got a chance.
And if he can guard a little better, and he'll work.
And that will be a part of it. That will be at the end of the day. That's going to be probably the biggest part of it.
Either way, he's going to be wealthy one way or the other.
Yes.
future coach. Okay, so there's no question. Pope loves Rick. Rick loves Pope. Nothing there. And, each team needs to win desperately. Let's get past that, the obvious. If you're Patino, I think he hates. Maybe that's a little too strong. Hates from a competitive point of view, not hates like hates going on in the world. And I shouldn't have used that word. But I think he hates losing to pupils, which I think is pretty normal, by the way. And so for Patino, is there a little something extra because of it or no, Travis Ford?
Again, and I would say this because I know we haven't talked about it necessarily. But I think that's human nature again. It's like play. I mean, of course you do. Of course. And that's out of respect for Kentucky. That's out of respect, for where, all the different places he's coached. It just means probably a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. But I think that's human nature. I think that's human nature to feel that way. I do know this. I absolutely know this, and he's stated it. I don't have to, say it, but I'm around him enough. He and I absolutely, positively loved the University of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all know that. I mean, it's more than what people even really know. He loves the University of Kentucky and his time there and the people there. And that is when you're around him and he starts talking about those things, you realize quickly just what Kentucky meant to him. It's amazing, really.
Yeah, and I buy it. Absolutely buy it.
Yes.
We didn't talk about whether it was horse racing, volleyball, women playing against the guys. Oh, yes, and men's basketball.
We've covered a lot.
You're the best, Trav. You're just the best. I appreciate your time, your conversations, and some of the looks on your face when I was throwing stuff.
I never know what we're going to talk about, so that's what's fun to being on here. That's great.
Problem is, I never know either. Hey, bless you, Trav. If I don't talk to you before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. And this is just total joy and fun.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, Trav. Travis Ford. Jimmy, did I drive him nuts? I mean, I love Travis, but do you think I drove him nuts? What do you think?
Maybe a little.
Did you see the facial looks that he had as I was doing that?
Oh, yeah.
We don't push the YouTube, and it doesn't have a lot of subscribers. It has gone up a little bit, and I need to push it, whatever. But anybody on YouTube, I think, got the joy of watching Travis's face. You got to remember, I've known Travis since he was in high school. And I remember those stories. Guys would be going out, and Jimmy, he was in the gym. He got that from his dad. And one of the great gym rats. The other thing, too, all academic and everything else. Anyway, thank you, Trav. I really appreciate it. Really, really. Sean is in the waiting room. Is he really? Okay, so let's take a quick break. Shall we do that? I mentioned Terry Page, a great licensed massage therapist. Check her out. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. In Lexington, Thursday and Friday. In Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesday. Please use my name. Check her out. 859-373-0578. Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
Looking at these twinkle lights, 250 strands of lights, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lights.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet, but here at Clark's Pep Shop, we are. We have M&M, Milky Way, Snickers, or Twix share-size candy bars, 2 for $4.50, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Maybe I should wrap up my lights so I can get over to Clark's Pep Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carl. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quattrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrill Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrill Subaru. Learn more at QuantrillSubaru.com.
I'm Kathy Bingaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
What a show. What fun. What joy. We go from one great point guard to another great point guard. From Travis Ford to Sean Woods, who's teaching now and eating his lunch as we speak because you got to gobble it down and get it done while you can because you don't have a lot of free time. Sean, how are you? And I hope you're eating healthy. I hope you're not going back to your old ways.
I'm sure not, man. I'm eating a turkey sandwich, Al.
Oh, good for you. No mayonnaise?
Huh?
Any mayonnaise?
Yeah, I gotta put mayonnaise. There's no a sandwich is not a sandwich without the taste of mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. So if I gotta be bad every now and then I'm doing it.
Okay, you got to be bad a little bit. I'm tightening again, and my goal in life is to be skinnier than you. I don't know if I'll ever get there. What do you think? Are you laughing at me?
I am.
Okay. What are you weighing now?
210.
Don't fudge.
209.
Okay. If I get below you, and I've lost a couple pounds, I'm down to 242. Just straight, no filter. Don't like to admit it on radio, but it is what it is. If I get below you, what do I win? In the year 2026.
You know what you'll win? More time on this earth with me, Bubs.
I thought you'd say, let's bet a cup of coffee or something like that, because the odds are with you based upon my history. More time on the earth with you. Yeah, what joy. Joy to the world. If people could only see your smirk at the relationship of, every time I ask you to come on and you're gracious with your time, you know how much I appreciate and stuff like that. I always go, I get a chill. I'm going, am I going to get destroyed today or what? Okay. Would you agree? Go ahead. You started saying something.
No, what I was going to say is it's just like a basketball player. If you think about you trying to go get 30, you're never going to get 30. So, just let it flow. And if you get me, hey, you got me today. If I get you, hey, I got you today. You know how that goes, Bubs.
Only one that I feel this way. The other people, if I get you, I get you. If I don't, I don't. I don't even think about it. With you, you're like an albatross. Okay, let's get past the albatross. I thought they went from the soft cats to the tough cats. One, do you agree? And two, I have no idea if it's an aberration. I don't think it is, because I think Mo Diabate is the most important player on the team because he made everybody play harder with his skills and his toughness. Even Lowe said he played harder. What say you, Sean Woods, former great guard at Kentucky?
I hope. I mean, they showed some passion. They showed some toughness. They showed like they cared. And you know, I'm not ecstatic about it. It should be the norm, Bub. So hopefully this is the habit that's going to be for the rest of the year. Um, and if they do play with this type of passion, energy, and effort, at least we have a chance. You know what I mean? Because we won't have a chance if we don't have this mentality.
I never said this would be a great shooting team. I did say, and so far I've been wrong, that'd be a much better shooting team than people thought. You can't be right all the time. And I'm not saying this because I said that. I still think they can be a much better shooting team. I never said they'd be a great shooting team, but I think they can be a much better shooting team, good enough that won't hamper them. Do you think the shooting on the Pope says they can still be a special shooting team? I don't know about that. Maybe you do. I don't know. But eventually, if Lowe can penetrate and dish, if he can play enough, they're going to get some easier threes, and I think it will get better. What say you, former Studley point guard Sean Woods, back in the 1960s?
You just hit the nail in the coffin. I gotta give you some kudos, Bubs. When you got a good point guard, he sets you up to where you know what I'm saying, you get better shooting threes. You get in better rhythm shooting threes. And nothing's just hurrying up and getting it off because you got to just get it off within the shot clock. So I think if Lowe stays healthy and continues to do what he's doing, we're going to get better opportunities. And a better percentage shot is going to give you an opportunity to make more. And when you got a point guard that makes things happen and makes that ball, breaks down the defense, that creates help and recover situations and things like that, you're going to get better and more smoother three opportunities. And I think hopefully that can sustain.
Yeah, but what we don't know, and I like how quickly he was not only open about this, but even said, hey, they're going to start screening me on my right side because that's my bad shoulder. And when you get in the SEC, as you know this, you lived it, it's just tougher in conference play. That's not saying St. John's isn't tough or anything like that, but it's just a little different in conference play. And could I see teams going after his shoulder? I can. They went after Butler's shoulder. This is just a normal part of sports, where in the 60s and 50s, it was a lot nastier, actually, than it was today. So you can see teams kind of going after him to kind of take him out of the game, can't you?
I'm going to say this, and I say this till I'm blue in the face, because this is what I believe from a defensive standpoint. In order to save him and make it easier for him and everybody else on the team, you got to switch on defense. Get all these screens and things like that, running him off ball screens, just switch it. And now he's not trying to get through screens. He's being saved, and then we're never out of position to where we got to go to a drop zone drop coverage where the big's got to show and then drop as the point guards get clipped off a ball screen, so on and so forth. Just switch it. And now you're always in position. You ain't got to worry about him getting banged up and trying to get through screens, and it makes it easier for everyone.
Do you see them switching enough, or you think they need to adjust?
They were trying to switch. They want to switch. A lot of coaches don't know how to switch unless that's just what you do. And I think in today's game, you got to go to switching, because everybody's switching against Kentucky, and that's why they're having a hard time running their offense, because there's always somebody there. And so with that being said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do and make it easier for your defense, especially on their bodies. Just switch everything. Sometimes you may get caught with a guard on a big in the post, but I'll take my chances with that, with ball pressure and help side defense and things like that, front in the post with the guard. So I would make it easier for him to just, every time somebody wants to run him off a ball screen or a stagger screen or just a pin down, just switch.
Okay, I will look for that to see if they do more in the next game. I'm going to guess that they will, because if he can't play for another chunk of the season, I'm not saying Kentucky can't win. I'm going to say it's more difficult. Do you agree with me that Mo Diabate is the most important player on the team? Or you think I'm nuts?
Jalen, G15 is the most important person on the team.
Yeah, Sean, we're having a lot of trouble with your connection.
Lowe is the most important.
Okay, Jimmy, I think we need to do this.
Can you hear me now, Bubs?
A little better, but if it happens again, it was rough. So did you say you think Jalen Lowe is the most important player?
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Jalen Lowe is the most important player on that basketball team, no doubt about it.
Okay, well, there's doubt about it to me. You know, there are times in basketball I'm right and you're wrong. You know, that has happened in a leap year or two. You do know that, right?
Yeah, very few, but you have your days.
And by the way, I could easily be wrong. And I knew you, first of all, you're biased towards point guards, and I respect that tremendously. Second of all, you could easily be right. You could easily be right, but
you call any coach in America, and if they don't have a point guard, to ask them what their chances are.
now, see, I don't disagree with that, but here's my other
Any coach
issue.
in America.
Okay, I'm with you, but hang with me a second and then tell me I'm wrong. This team lacked toughness, I think, tremendously. And when you have the point guard saying, and I don't think it was just baloney, that even he played harder because of Mo Diabate, I think everybody plays harder. And if Lowe comes back and let's say he's 100% and they're soft, they're not going to the Final Four. They're just not. They got no shot at the Final Four. They're going to have to be a lot tougher. And I think he brings that one element, not just himself on the court, but the entire team, which I think they don't need a little. I think they desperately need that. So that's my logic, and I could be wrong, and we have different opinions.
You want to know what? Mo Diabate is an important piece with his toughness, but guess what, though? We're not mentioning Oweh anymore. I thought when we mentioned toughness, especially from last year and even leading up to this year, when you mentioned toughness, you mentioned Oweh. Why aren't we mentioning Oweh anymore in that category, and you putting it all on Diabate?
I'm not putting it all on Diabate. I'm saying he showed up, and everybody got tougher. You know, I have wondered this. Well, first of all, I'm going to defend Oweh because I've been saying this for ad nauseum. You know, when you had that foot, the problem that he had, and you don't run for like 3 months or whatever, I said this right away. He's not going to be in shape. He's not going to be. No, and it looks like he's basically back now. And injuries are injuries, and you got, that kind of injury, it can take forever. So that's part of it. The other thing is I wonder how much, although he says, okay, that, he's ready for this and looks for it, and I'm the leader and that kind of stuff. Well, that's fine. And I wonder if it's taken him some time being the leader of the team. I've just wondered that because he's a soft-spoken guy. Now, by the way, if Mo's the only guy being tough, then his value is good for him being tough, but it doesn't permeate the whole team. But so far this year, now Oweh played 32 minutes the other day, which I thought was really good for a lot of reasons. He only shot 2 for 8, but he played 32 minutes and had a couple of steals. But the point is, I don't think Oweh has a toughness that Diabate has, and I'm not knocking his toughness. I think Diabate's toughness is on a different level. Am I wrong? I need Oweh to play great defense and tough defense.
Well, that's what he used to do. That's what he's known for. You know what I mean? Now, we're trying to put scoring in his bag, which I think Oweh is an opportunist as far as scoring is concerned. But I think he really made his way with what he brought from a defensive standpoint on that side of the ball. But Diabate is who Diabate is. That's who he was at Alabama. I thought Diabate came in this year trying to shoot too many threes more so than just being who he really is. And that's crashing the glass, being physical, creating a toughness mentality. And I tell you what turned that team around the other day against Indiana is when Lowe died on the floor. I thought that was very inspirational too. But then you got to do something. You got to say something else too. Garrison finally played with some passion and energy and effort also.
Yeah, I think we just lost Sean. Yep. Sean is gone. That happens. Hey, Sean, thank you. I'll send you a text. Appreciate you tremendously, but there was too many problems with the connection. So we will move on. I'll send you a text.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Sean, we're going to move on. There's been too many problems with the. We got to figure out a better system next time. Hey, you're the best, Sean. I appreciate you, and you're mostly right.
Hey, guess what?
What?
Even a cake needs a sprinkle, and you're my sprinkle, Bubs.
Come on, tell me you love me. Come on, tell me you love me.
I love you, Alan Bubs Cutler.
Get the heck off my phone. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you big time. You know that. You're the best.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. We got to figure something else out. I think we're not doing any more Zooms with Sean. And I thought he was in his house, not at school, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I'll text him. We'll figure it out. It's all good. Definitely all good. I want to do this. Jimmy, why don't you get Bateman and give me a thumbs up when you have him with the new defensive coordinator coming in from A&M. And I said it right away. It didn't take much of a genius on my part because initially it was like, he's coming here. Why would he come here and leaving Texas A&M? Did Elko not like him? Did he have a problem with Elko? Whatever, because that's the first thing you think of. No, I don't believe there was a problem with Elko at all. And I've already said that. But Elko being a defensive guy, it really wasn't Bateman's defense totally. When he comes here, he's the head coach of the defense. And I think that's exactly what he was looking for. I like his resume a lot. You can build defenses in Army. You can build defenses for me. And it's interesting. So many of the coaches that Will is bringing in have a reputation of being recruiters, which is desperately needed. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. We'll do it down the order. To the obvious question, as Bateman did a press conference yesterday as A&M is getting ready to play, why Kentucky?
I was really intrigued with Will. Will Stein, the new head coach, and when he reached out to me, just his vision. I went up to Kentucky a couple years ago, and I was at Florida. They beat the brakes off of us, and I thought, man, it's a really nice place. I think the chance to be, kind of autonomy as defense coordinator was really important to me, and this was one I felt really good about, and that was kind of the decision.
I think it was a very good decision. I'm excited to see him work, and he's doing the obvious, just like Stein is doing. Trying to juggle 2 jobs at once, and I don't think it's poppycock. I think both these men have a loyalty and love for their current players, and they don't want to abandon them. I don't think they also want to abandon the head coaches, and I respect it tremendously. I think it's a ridiculously tough thing to do, but we all do tough things every now and then. And Bateman is saying very similar things to Will. And think about it. Will's got to hire staff, and Bateman is, I'm sure, helping with some of the staff going on and that kind of stuff, but it's nothing like Will's doing. He's got to hire a whole staff. So he talks about the obvious, juggling not 1, but 2 jobs.
I'm just really focused on winning this game and the path to the playoffs for these kids. I feel like that's the most important thing. And when I get home at night, I spend as much time as I can, reaching out to Kentucky players and doing those things and trying to get ready for when that happens.
Which is the perfect answer, and I believe him. And a little bit more on the word juggle. Here it is.
You got to have a great wife, man. You got to have a great wife. So I think she knows, like, hey, look, right now I'm really focused on, I'm getting up the same time, going to bed the same time. Like, I'm doing this job the same as I was doing it 2 weeks ago. And so is Colin. And then, then when you do get a little bit of a break, when you do get a night off, then it's, you're pouring everything you can into that, the new opportunity. And that's part of the deal, right? It's part of the deal. So with success comes other opportunities. And when you get those things, you have to maintain, everything you have to win this game, right, for our players. I think that's the most important thing.
Jimmy, I think that's an interesting comment. With success comes other opportunities. So I am interpolating the obvious that, he's at A&M. They got a shot at winning the national championship. There's no question about it. Okay. And that success helps him with another opportunity, which he's going to run his own defense. And that's here at Kentucky. And Jimmy, I'm sure you see it exactly the same way. Well, I'm not sure, but I bet you do. We've spent too much time together.
Yeah. And I feel like this is not just college, but in the NFL too. When you have a successful team, likely whatever the 2 coordinators are, they're going to get poached. It happened to the Lions a couple years ago. My 49ers, it's happened to, and we're seeing it. You see, it's always in college, but it's just kind of one of those things that and I think Dan Lanning understands that because he's been on the other side. He was a very, very, very low level staffer with Nick Saban back in the day at Alabama. So he's grown all the way up through this. So I imagine all these coaches understand.
The more I read about Lanning, the more he seems like a great guy who understands and is a great people person. And that was my impression when he got the job. And I knew he did a ton of stuff. He's going to Oregon and all that kind of stuff. And I knew who he was. I knew he was doing the SEC. But I didn't really follow him as intensely as I have been now, for obvious reason, with Stein coming from there. And his employment agency is going crazy with all the coaches he needs to hire. Jimmy, let's jump to the one Stein bite from the other day we didn't play, and I really like it. It is clip number 3. And give me a thumbs up when you have it. Of course, your thumbs up is quickly. So this is an interesting comment. And I'm not suggesting he's the only one. Jimmy, I don't remember the last time I have heard or I have ever heard a coach talking about practice in this way. Not practice for the players, but practicing as a coach. I found this a fascinating soundbite. Here it is.
Like, we practice coaching as much as our players practice playing. I know that sounds kind of weird, but we play the game in our head. We play the game in our offensive staff room all the time. So we've already kind of set in our mind there's going to be issues in a game. There's going to be problems. No game is ever perfect. It's really how you handle those situations that makes, that's the difference between winning and losing. So I think we've done a really good job as a staff, just pressing pause, resetting our focus. All right, somebody's down. All right, what's the next plan? All right, get to the next play. Not worrying so much about the outcome, just focusing on our process. Like I mentioned, like Coach always says, double down. We just keep doubling down and just always coaching. Again, credit to offensive staff for that and our players. I think it really fed off our energy.
Interesting. Now, do I think a lot of other staff say, okay, if this happened, this would happen? I mean, you got to prepare for something bad to happen. And I would imagine a ton of coaching staffs do that because what the heck ever comes out smoothly? And I think it's a smart thing to do. But, Jimmy, I don't ever remember hearing a coach. I'm not saying Will Stein is revolutionary. I'm not suggesting that. I am suggesting this is a fascinating way of looking at it. And I wonder if Lanning does it. You know what? I'm really curious how much Saban did it. Seriously. And I wish I had the answer. I do not know. But come on, Jimmy, you listen to a lot of sound bites. That's the most unusual soundbite. Like, we're practicing not for the perfect game plan, because the perfect game plan always never happens. I wonder how many times a coach who coaches 40 years ever have a game plan go perfectly. A few? Can you put, both hands together? It just, you have to adjust. And sometimes it's on your side. You can't handle something. Sometimes it's the other side is doing something good. You got to adjust. Isn't that a great soundbite, though?
Yeah, and I feel like I've just never heard a coach like verbalize it like that. And once you hear him say it, you're like, oh yeah. I imagine all these other coaches are doing it, but I've never heard a coach actually say it that we practice coaching. And going back to the perfect game plan, I would like to ask a coach, have you ever even had a perfect game plan in practice go perfect? This just never happens. Even when everything's scripted in practice, it never goes that way.
Never goes that way. And how many times have you seen that a play ended up being the winning play, kind of a different play, and you hear a coach say, we tried that son of a gun in practice. It didn't work, but we thought we tried it in a game, or we tried it like 3 days in a row. It didn't work, but I felt confident to call it, and we called it, and it worked. I've heard that kind of comment, not a million times, but dozens of times through the years. Absolutely. And then I say to myself, and I've always had this thought, well, it didn't work in practice. You have a lot of guts to then call it during the game. You have a lot of faith. And I think when you do that, and players have said this, it didn't work, but he had enough faith in us to in the game, which actually inspired us a little bit, is saying that the coach believes in us. It's a very interesting psychology.
It's almost like you probably relate to this in the TV business. You could read through a script and you might fumble over it, but when that red light turns on, something changes and it's a gotta have it time. And you go through it and it's flawless. I feel like football, sport, whatever sport it is, when it's that moment, it's something different. Even though in practice you can tell yourself, okay, we're going to pretend this is 4th and goal at the 1. No, but when it's game time, it just somehow it works.
It's interesting you say that, because I was always this way. I would always read my scripts even though I wrote them. I'd usually read them once or twice, whatever. And this is just me. I always enjoyed doing it with the light on.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not trying to brag, but that's always lights on, and you feel a little juice.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it better. And there were times, I wouldn't say fumble, I wrote the stuff, but there were times I'm looking for certain cadence and that kind of stuff, and then you sit down and you do what you do. And then a lot of times I would write something and all of a sudden there'd be a couple lines that just showed up. Those kinds of things. But I liked it with the light on. I always liked it with the light on. I can't explain why I liked it with the light on. I think that's just who I am.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with players in game situations. Like, you can pretend all you want in practice and put yourself in these situations, but when it is game time, and like you said, I think part of it is that confidence of the players all knowing, oh, this didn't work in practice, but he's calling it now. All right, we really got to lock in, even more than we were locked in before. And it just always seems to work.
Got about a minute before we take a break. And by the way, now it's official that Jay Bateman has been named defensive coordinator. You know, these things leak and stuff like that, but there's all kinds of paperwork and stuff you got to do and that kind of thing. Slacks, thank you, Slacks, just tweeted out to the world that it's now official. We probably will talk more about this tomorrow. This story from the Herald Leader. The trial date for former UK head swim coach accused of sexual abuse has been delayed to January 2027 in U.S. District Court in Lexington. It was initially scheduled for next June, but the story says all parties asked for a delay to have more time for discovery and depositions, according to court records. Wow. So the new date is January 19th, and Jorgensen is accused in a lawsuit of a pattern of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Former UK swimmers who later worked as an assistant swim coach underneath him. They're also suing, and we've talked about this before, UK Athletics Director Mitch Barnhart, who was Jorgensen's supervisor until he resigned in 2023. The lawsuit argues that Kentucky turned a blind eye to warnings of Jorgensen's predatory behavior towards women for years, even as they and a third UK swimmer were abused by the coach. Jorgensen, UK, and Barnhart have denied wrongdoings. A couple people through the course of time says, well, why don't I talk to Barnhart about it? Well, first of all, Barnhart doesn't talk to me, but forget about that. The other thing is his lawsuit going on. He can't talk to anybody. He can't talk to anybody. You know, if he does a gathering and somebody asks him, he's going to say, you know, I can't talk about it, refer to my lawyers. And I'm surprised, not many, but 3 or 4 people through the course of time said, why don't you do more on it? What do you want me to do? I'm all for doing more on this. Absolutely all doing more of this, because if Barnhart is guilty, and I'm using the word if, I will tell you this, that when this broke, and I did not know this was going on, and I used what at the time before ChatGPT was my best friend, which is Google, you know, I read some stuff that would make me very curious as to why he would have gotten hired at UK. That was my opinion, and you know, I don't understand, to tell you the truth. I'm not throwing any darts, but it's kind of baffling to me how he got here. But let's see how this plays out. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I believe that. I'm not throwing stones at UK. I'm not throwing stones at anybody, but, you know, you wonder if this many people are accusing, is there something to it? That's fair to wonder. And that's my opinion. So, the whole thing is awful. It's really awful. Absolutely awful. Tell you what won't be awful. Well, we go from, what a lovely day again. I mean, we've been so lucky and fortunate with the guest. Cassie O'Brien started the show. What a wonderful young lady. The National Freshman of the Year in volleyball, also a second-team All-American as they get ready to play Wisconsin tomorrow night at 9 p.m. I'll be glued. Travis Ford was great. Sean was great. Sean Woods and Mark Story is coming up next. Another lovely day. The joy of doing the show is off the charts. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Acupuncture on Versailles Road. Ramon has helped me tremendously. Suggestion, take care of yourself. It's worth the money. I actually think it's cheap, but that's me. You can have a totally different opinion. Ramon's a special dude, and I'm lucky to have found him. I'm lucky to have found Terry Page. Found them both years ago before doing this radio show. So lucky and blessed. Mark Story coming up next. Alan Cutler. I wonder if there's anything to talk to Mark Story about. There's nothing going on, is there?
Not much. We can find something.
Okay, I think we will. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line 8.
They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
I'm looking at these twinkle lots, 250 strands of lots, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lots.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet. But here at Clark's Pop and Shop, we are. We have 5-hour energy shots, buy 2, get 1 free, and Mike and Ike or Hot Tamales theater box candy, 2 for $2.
Maybe I should wrap up my lots so I can get over to Clark's Pop and Shop.
Uncle Rick, a little on blinking.
I know, Carl. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Before we introduce Mark's story, Jimmy, you just got me in trouble. Do you know that? You just got me in trouble.
How so?
Well, we were talking about, the lights on in scripts and how you do it, and you brought up the example of TV. I just got this message. I'll just say it. It's Al talking about my scripts. I won't give your title away, Al. He directed many of my shows. Okay, you ready for this, Jimmy? Your scripts were a mess. Maybe you could decipher the chicken scratch, but directors had a hard time. By the way, great show. You know what the bad news about this? I can't disagree with this. Because it's kind of what I do now. I have notes all over the place, and I'm trying to do a better job of actually looking at it. And there were, like the stats and stuff, but this stuff I just go and I would do something and then something would hit me and I would just say it. So, Mark Story, are you surprised the former director at LEX 18 and executive said that my scripts were a mess? Maybe you could decipher the chicken scratch, but directors had a hard time. By the way, great show. I'm laughing. Hello, Mark Story. How are you?
I'm great, Alan, and I actually have always found it an advantage that no one can read my handwriting.
Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I wish I would have said that. By the way, Mark Story, Kentucky Sports Writer of the Year in 2019 and 2015, covered every Derby since 94. Longtime outstanding columnist for the Herald Leader. And by the way, can I read the line that I looked you up on chat. I do this every now and then for the guests. It's always fun. Sometimes I need information. I think I kind of know who you are, but there's be some stat every year now. It called you a notable voice in Kentucky sports journalism. I think that's nice.
Yes, AI is very kind.
I think I need to look myself up. I did one time about the show, and it just did no filter and stuff like that, but who knows? Critics everywhere. So, Mark, there's nothing going on now. There's a potpourri of subjects. And so I'm sure, in July, you might be thinking as you prepare ahead, what am I going to write in July? But I'm sure your problem is I could go this way with my column, that way with my column, that way with my column, with everything going on. basketball, football, women's volleyball, women's basketball, whatever. What's the most passionate thing in your cranium right now? Not that I need a guest to direct it, but you have passions, and I want to make sure I get the best what's in your cranium as of today.
Well, this is a really interesting time in college sports. I'm very fascinated by just the whole, as they tried basically to reinvent the entire enterprise on the fly. I'm super interested in that. Kentucky starting over in football with a new coaching staff. That's very interesting, especially, Will Stein being youngish, and, the fact that they're going with what appears to be a pretty young staff. I think that's interesting. Obviously, we're on the verge of Mark Pope going up against his college coach, and these pupil versus mentor coaching matchups always fascinate me. And the Kentucky women's volleyball team is 2 wins away from the national championship. That's pretty interesting, too.
We had Cassie on today, and I had never talked to her till today. So Cassie O'Brien on, as you know, she's the National Freshman of the Year, second team All-American, and had Lizzie Carr on a week or 2 ago, and I've had Brooklyn DeLay on, but it's not like I've talked to a lot of these young ladies in volleyball. They all handle themselves in a spectacular manner. And the way they describe pressure and the joy of playing sports, they are setting an example, not just for women athletes. They're setting an example for men and women and students and whatever. Their attitude, Mark, is so good, it's like almost beautiful.
I agree with that. And one of the things that I find appealing about volleyball, especially college women's volleyball, is the players appear to have a really good time while playing. It looks like they're genuinely having fun. And that at one time, I thought that was kind of the point of sports, was just to, enjoy it and, draw satisfaction from playing and just have a good time. And that's how that to me is the face they show the world. And I think it's appealing.
And I think you're suggesting, and if you are, I would agree 100%, there's too many times we don't think the players, guys, gals, I don't give a, Mark, that has nothing to do with where I'm coming from, that don't enjoy it as much as they should. Is that what you're suggesting? Because I am if you aren't.
Well, I just think the point of it is, at least should be, to have a good time. That should ultimately be the point. And I understand this is a humongous business. I mean, I get that, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, when you're playing a game, it's supposed to be fun.
I don't get the feeling that, and I don't think it's hot air being thrown at me or at you or anybody, that they're as concerned about the pressure as most people would be. Like, pressure is a privilege. You've heard that line. I've heard that line many times. And it sounds like instead of being shy about it, they're actually embracing it.
Yeah, I think part of that comes from knowing you're good. I think it's easier to sort of adopt that attitude when you have confidence in your team and what you're doing. And that doesn't guarantee you anything, but they're pretty good.
Do you think any of the guys on this team, I'm switching to basketball on you, Mark, and everybody knows the story, but there were some guys who came here last year and they came from lower levels, and they had to prove to themselves, as much as they wanted to play here, that they were good enough to play here. And that can be a psychological, interesting thing to have happen, and many of them did and succeeded and all that kind of stuff. And I wonder if that's a little part of this year, like a Cam Williams, he shoots 41%. I think Ben Roberts had the stat, since I took it from him, give him credit, that I knew he shot 41% from Tulane last year, but 21% so far this year. When you put the two of them together, I didn't think he'd shoot 41% here, but I said before the season, I could see him shooting high 30s. So I'm way off. And I wonder, and his block the other day was unbelievable, but I wonder if some of these young people are battling, embracing as much as they want to do it, playing for the hugeness of Kentucky. And I just had Travis Ford on, and he agreed with that. And I wonder how you see it, Mark Story, Lexington Herald leader.
I definitely think there's more pressure on a shooter shooting for Kentucky than there was shooting at Tulane. Probably you're playing a little higher level of defender too. So I think there are multiple factors that go into it. But yeah, I think Kentucky is a really big stage, and there is, some degree of pressure when you're playing on the big a big stage, and I would guess that has maybe subconsciously, maybe consciously impacted his shooting some.
You would think, and I guess hope for the kid, that at a certain point he has, let's say, a 3 for 5 game from downtown or a 4 for 6 or something like that, and the light bulb comes on. And I would have guessed incorrectly that the light bulb would have come on by now, but I do think this kid's going to have a breakout game. And if he can shoot like he did last year, as he's now paying attention to defense and doing some nice things defensively, he could still turn out to be a wonderful player, even though there were a lot of fans who wanted to quit on him early on.
Well, the thing that I have found interesting about Cam Williams in several games, whether he's hitting perimeter shots or not, his plus minus is really good. The team is better when he's on the court, and that's with him not shooting well. And, obviously plus minus in a small sample size can be misleading, but there've been several games where, Kentucky has been noticeably better when he was on the floor than when not. I just find that interesting about him as a player, and I do think that there will come a game where he'll hit some shots, and presumably that will give him confidence and take some pressure off him. And if he's already, having a positive impact on the plus minus of the team, without shooting well, what will he do if the shots start falling?
I could agree with you more. And, it's interesting you say that, because the first couple times I saw his plus minus was better, I kind of just went, I don't mean to be nasty, but kind of dismiss it. Well, okay. Because it's a strange stat that at times, as you mentioned, it's very difficult to put in. But when someone is consistently being above others in plus minus and you're not shooting, at a certain point, you have to say there's something here. So we agree, wholeheartedly when it comes to that. Can you put it towards your feeling? I have not been soft on Brandon Garrison. He does a lot of things at times I personally don't like. It's just my opinion. Everybody can agree or disagree, but I applaud the young man for being yanked from the game. I think he's very cognizant of the fact of some of the criticism, and yet he did some really nice things playing 20 minutes against Indiana. And if he can turn it around, you got to applaud him mentally and physically. There's no question about it. And yet it's been a hard road, and he can add to it. Do you see it that way, or how do you see Brandon Garrison?
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit. He essentially got pulled from the game. I guess it was North Carolina Central, and got pulled in kind of a pretty public manner. Pope basically met him coming off the floor to chastise him, and then he never got back in the game. And the way things are now, a lot of people are not going to respond well to that. And Brandon did just the opposite. I thought he played really hard in that Indiana game, and if just brings that level of effort, the rest of the way, I think positive things will happen. Because one thing about it, when you play really, really hard, usually, good things are going to happen to you.
I thought was really cool here. You got a young man. He's a father. He's got a son. Yet he gives his mother, and I say this with love, he gives his mother a lot of credit with steering him back in the right direction. I thought that soundbite was really cool. It made me go, oh, wow, this is really nice that a young man like that has that much respect for his mom.
Yeah, it was everything about that, just in terms of how he responded, or at least how he publicly responded to, being chastised was pretty impressive, I thought.
Let me throw a curveball at you. I'm curious your baseball opinion of the Reds and they weren't going to. I never thought they were going to sign Schwarber, but the Schwarber situation, and then after it didn't work, the Reds saying they're pulling that money, won't spend it on anybody else. And I personally believe, I can't prove it, that he would have sold a ton of tickets. And I'm basically against these big contracts, but my personal opinion, they didn't ask me, the general manager, Nick Kroll, who runs the organization, doesn't have me on speed dial, but I actually thought he was worth the money. But what is sad to me, there are Reds fans that have been ripping him. Social media isn't everything, because he wouldn't take $25 million less than come to Cincinnati, and I think they're going to boo the crap out of him. And he seems to be, through the years I've read stuff about him and heard sound bites, seems to be a wonderful young man and a really good family man. And he's from the area, and he's going to take crap I got a twofold for you, Mark. He's going to take crap which I don't think is deserved, but that's me. And the other thing, when you look at it, my gosh, are the Reds ever going to do anything?
Yeah, the second would be my frustration. So they didn't get Schwarber, so okay, we're just not going to spend any money. So you're going to tell me if they signed Alex Bregman or Cody Bellinger, nobody would buy season tickets? I mean, I think look, I'm not a Reds fan, but my observation of that fan base is if the team just showed some signs of actually trying, I think the fans would really rally around that, and it would energize their fan base. And, probably not, if they signed Alex Bregman, just to throw that out there, and I'm not saying that's even realistic, but it probably would not have the impact that signing Kyle Schwarber would have had because of his local ties. But I think the fans would be really excited. And, one big bat could make a huge difference on that team. And to me, they're sort of, when you're in a small market, there are sort of windows or cycles when, of rebuilding and then contention. And to me, with their starting pitching, they're very much in a contending cycle and they need to go for it.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they have somebody who's scouting these pitchers. They're doing a heck of a job, and they got more potentially coming up. You know what bothered me? Not quite as much as the Schwarber thing for obvious reasons. There's a guy named Adolis Garcia, and he had a bad year last year for him. He had 19 home runs and 75 RBIs. He stole 13 bases. And by the way, he's a really good defensive player. Now, that's a bad year for him because a number of years before that, he averaged 3 or 4 years. He averaged 25 home runs, 85 RBIs, 25 stolen bases. And because he wants a big contract, had a down year, he signed for $10 million with the Phillies. I would have given him 15. When they signed Hayes last year in the offseason, I thought it was a brilliant move because it was only $5 million. And the 2 years before that, he was actually an all-star and had a bad year before. That's why he was available. And I wouldn't have signed him for next year, but that's not the point. The point is, you have a guy like Garcia. Oh my gosh, he's a power hitter. And I never even heard his name in a rumor with him. And he's a really good player. And if he only hits 19 home runs and 75 RBIs for $10 million with his defense, it's a steal. I mean, how do they not go for things like this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously I've not seen their books. I'm skeptical of the level of poverty these baseball teams claim. I think, as I said, I think the Reds are in a position they need to go for it.
Do you have, jumping back topics, I'm not a big fan. I don't know how the hell they do it, so I don't know. They're doing it, obviously. Bateman's doing it. Stein is doing it, and that kind of stuff. Other coaches are doing it where, matter of fact, both coordinators are going to do it. They're both leaving to become head coaches. But I don't know how you can really do your job for the new school if you're putting in more time for the old school, yet you have to be fair to the old school, and you recruited those kids. I don't know how you do it, and I think schools now almost don't. We always have a choice and can say no and hire somebody else, but almost don't have a choice, and they have to allow these men to finish coaching at their school. Do you have any concern that whether it's Bateman or Stein, or we'll look at all the people that Stein has hired, wouldn't do a better job if they were here 100%, or is it perhaps I don't realize that some people can work 20 hours a day?
Well, I think obviously they would do a better job if they could be fully engaged, but I think it's the right thing to do to let them finish out their runs. Number one, it's the right thing for them individually to do for the players they've worked with all year. Number two, there is some promotional aspect. When Oregon's playing James Madison, I'm sure there'll be multiple references to Will Stein, the new head coach at Kentucky, calling plays for the Ducks. There's some worth to that.
I think there's a lot of worth to that, especially if they score a lot of points.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, if the offense looks good, there's really some worth to that.
Yeah, matter of fact, it could end up being, as you're suggesting, a wonderful recruiting tool. Let's put it that way. Bateman had a good line. We played the soundbite from his press conference yesterday earlier that to have this be successful, you have to have a great wife. Because, outside of sleep, there isn't enough time in the day. Do you find it progressive, or is it maybe the second title enough to get somebody a raise, which oftentimes somebody gets a title to help them get more money, that Kentucky will have not only a general manager, which I think is desperately needed, but an assistant general manager? I mean, is a time gonna come where I don't know about baseball, but as you know, baseball, they often have a general manager and many assistant general managers based upon different roles and stuff like that. You think Stein's ahead of the curve by having a general manager and an assistant general manager? And can you see most teams having two in the very near future and maybe three in that capacity of general manager and assistant general managers as NIL and these roles have changed?
Well, I think at the level the University of Kentucky competes athletically, it's much closer now to a professional sports model than the quote-unquote traditional college model. So I think your front office probably, the pros have been doing this a long time, and they've figured out structures that work. And yeah, I think it's good to have. I think teams need general managers and player personnel directors and sort of a pro setup. So yeah, I think it's a smart move.
Mark, I appreciate your time. Tell everybody how they can read you, whether it's social media or with the Herald Leader. Please give yourself a plug that your mom would say, great job.
Well, you can go to Kentucky.com and go to my column site. Just click down the scroll down bar and look for my name. And you can follow me on X, on Facebook, on Blue Sky, and I'm even posting stories on LinkedIn. So there are a whole lot of ways to get to my content.
Hey, man, I appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you having me.
Mark Story. Nothing to write about these days, huh? It's crazy how much stuff is going on. It's just Jimmy, it's crazy. I want to thank Cassie O'Brien. Good luck to the women's volleyball team, the National Freshman of the Year, second team All-American, 4 All-Americans on the volleyball team. They play I started saying Nebraska. They're gone, Nebraska. Wisconsin tomorrow night at 9. And Skinner was once an assistant coach there. Wisconsin's been good for a long time. It's the 7th time they made the Final Four. Travis Ford was great. Sean Woods was great. Always enjoy the perspective of Mark Story. Thank you so much. And you have some good things planned for tomorrow. Have yourself a lovely day. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate if you tell one friend. Best way, especially with so many outside the Lexington area listening, on the ESPN Sports Lexington app, where you can listen live, as people do all across the country and in different countries now, which is pretty interesting. And the podcast, the show will be up probably about 2:30, and always on 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. And don't forget about Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon. Brad Taylor coming up next. Have yourself a